how you can solve simple uh, problems of prediction. Okay, so how you can predict the thing, which what will be the future value uh, based upon your past and your present data. Okay, so those things we have already completed. Today we'll be starting or we'll be discussing your logistic regression. Okay, so I'll be in this logistic regression I'll be discussing all the fundamentals behind this algorithm or behind this technique. After that, I'll be showing you one example, a binary classification example. Okay, so how you can predict or you can say how you can classify the thing. And after that, I will give you another problem for your lab task. Okay. So let me quickly remind you what are the things we have discussed till now and some of the basic things. Okay. So first commonly asked questions in data science. Okay. These are the five types of commonly asked questions in your data science. First is your is this A or B? Okay, so these types of questions come under your classification algorithm. Okay, so whether this is A or B, whether yes or no type, whether zero or one type. So these types of things will come under your classification algorithm. Means you are going to classify the things. Okay, so the data will be given to you. You will be classifying, or you will be finding out the answer in terms of your yes or no type, or zero or one type, like that. Second type of thing is that is one type of anomaly detection. That is your is this where is this or it is going to be something different. Okay, so these types of prediction comes under your anomaly detection algorithm. Okay. Next, how much or how many? So whenever these types of questions come into picture, that means this can be handled by your regression algorithm. Means what will be the value, what will be the future amount. So these things can be predicted based upon your past or you can say present values. Okay, so this can be predicted by your regression algorithm. Okay. Next, how is this organized? Okay, so how is this organized means this is one type of classification algorithm. But what happens whenever I am saying classification, that means you should understand that the number of classes or number of category is very limited. That will be binary type, that is two. Okay, but in some cases this number of classes may be higher. Okay, and in that case we have to separate out so many classes from the gathering. Okay, so in that case those types of problems are called as a clustering algorithms. Okay, so suppose one small example I'm giving. Suppose one image is there, and in that image uh, it's very difficult to predict what are there inside that image. Okay, these types of problem occurs if you are taking the image from very high, like your satellite image or you can say a radar image, like that. Okay, so in that case what happens, we will be using some sophisticated algorithms, and based upon their predictions we will be categorizing means we will be finding out which portion is mountain, which portion is ocean, which portion is some you can say some town or you can say some cities there. So those types of things come under your clustering algorithm. Okay. Next, what should I do next? Because whenever these types of things are there, this can be handled by your reinforcement learning. Okay, so this reinforcement learning, or you can say your anomaly detections, these are higher versions of um, your you can say AI or ML part. Okay, so we are not going to discuss here in this course, but we'll be discussing these simple regression algorithms, okay, clustering algorithms and classification algorithms. And let me tell you, this classification algorithm is one type of clustering algorithm. Okay, so both are mostly similar, or you can say same also, but they are here they have been written separately because classification means we are just limited to your binary type. Okay, so it will be yes or no type or one or two type, like that. Okay, but in clustering algorithm so many categories will be there. Next, teacher, let me quickly remind you these things, that what is the difference between your regression algorithm and classification algorithm? Because whatever logistic regression or logit regression we are going to discuss after this, that is coming under your classification algorithm. But what happens? you might be getting surprised that why that name is given as your regression, logistic regression. Why that name is given? Because that regression technique, or you can say even if logistic regression is used for classification problems, the mathematics behind that is based upon your regression algorithm. Okay, so means somehow it has been derived from your uh, regression technique. So that's why this name is given as your logistic regression, even if it is used for classification or you can say clustering purpose. So here are the things. Here are the things like your in your linear regression, predicted value is continuous. I have already discussed these things in your previous classes. A predicted value is continuous. That means uh, in this we are going to find out specific values. Okay, like your quantities, what will be the value, or like that. So home prices, stock price. Okay, weather means don't think that weather is going to be good or bad. In this case, weather means what will be the future temperature, what will be the future wind speed, what will be the value or quantity of the rainfall, like that. Okay, if you are predicting that weather will be sunny or it is going to be rainy, at that time that will be going that will come under your classification type. Okay, and whenever we are going to classification, that means the predicted value is categorical, means the data will be categorical type. Okay, so there will be some categories from which will be picking up the answers. Okay, so here in your linear regression, what happens? We will be having a lot of options in your output. Okay, so because we are trying to find out the values, so we'll be having several options. Okay, but in this case, in your classification problems, the output set is limited. Okay, so there will be two values or there will be three values, like that. Means either that will be 0 or 1 type, or that may be suppose this question is there, so which party a person is going to vote for, democratic, republican, and or you can say independent. So in that case the choices are limited. Okay, so three choices are there. Among these three choices we are going to find out the answers. Okay, next, email is spam or not. Okay, so these types of things also come under a classification, and this is the very good example of a classification problem. Means simple binary classification problem. Okay, because these types of filters are used in emails. Will the customer buy life insurance or not? Okay, these types of questions. Because today I'll be showing you one example of this question. Okay, so will the customer buy life insurance or not? Means I'll be showing you some. We'll be having some data set. Okay, and based upon that data set, we'll be writing some code. Okay, and that code will predict a specific person of some age is whether he or she is going to buy a life insurance or not. Okay, so what is the probability behind his behind getting one life insurance? So these types of things we are going to predict in today's class. Okay, so this is the quick recap of your you can say your regression algorithm. So basically what happens, regression analysis is one type of predictive modeling technique, and in this technique what happens, two variables will be there. One will be your independent variable and other will be your dependent variable, and basically uh, this dependent variable uh, will be a function of your independent variable. Means that may be a linear function, that may be a polynomial function, and what happens, we will be fitting whatever given points given to us, means whatever given points are with us, will be fitting those points with some function. Okay, so that may be a line or that may be a polynomial. Okay, so we'll be trying to find out a straight line or you can say curve which is best fitted on those lines. Okay, and based upon that type of fitting we'll be trying to find out the future values. Okay, or you can say predicted values. Okay, before I show you this thing, let me show you the example which we are going to discuss today. Um, Example means I'll be showing you the data set first, and from that uh, we'll be discussing rest of the things. Okay, So is this Excel file visible right now? Hello, are you listening or?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So you can say this is a simple data set, or you can say Excel file containing two columns. Okay, in one column, age is there. Age means age of different person. Okay, and on the second column, whether they have bought the insurance or not, that thing is written, and you can see the values are written in zero or one format. Okay, so a person of age 22 is not interested or is less likely to buy the insurance, so that's why it is written as a zero. Whereas a person of age 47, he has bought the insurance, or the chances of buying the insurance of specific of that age is high, so that's why it is written as a one. So like that, 27 data are there. Okay, so we'll be using this data set to find out whether the person of different other ages, whether they are interested in buying the insurance or not. Okay, where how means what is the probability of the of specific persons buying these types of insurance. Okay, we will be predicting this thing. Okay, so this is the data set on which we are going to work. Okay. First, I'll discuss what are the things we are going to do with this data set, and why, means how this logistic regression works. I'll be showing you this example first. Okay, so after that, we'll be executing this thing in your Python, and I'll demonstrate the thing. Okay. Okay. So what about whatever data set I have shown you, that thing is plotted here. Okay, so if you are means this is the scatter plot of your data set. Whatever data set just now I have shown you. Okay, so in this case, you can see your x-axis, your A's are there, and in your y-axis, your insurance is there. Okay, means whether they have insurance or not. Okay, so you can see the persons which are having ages less than 30, okay, yeah, the age less than 30, they are not interested in this insurance. They are not having any insurance. Okay, and the persons which are having which are more than which age are more than 40, you can say. Okay, 40, or you can say 45, they have bought insurance. Okay, you can see those things. Okay. These things can be this drawing, or you can say this plot can be done by your scatter plot. I have already told you. Okay, so in your first or second class, and you can see some other things are there, like your there are some exceptions. Okay, so we can see some person are there, like whose age is I think they have also one or two persons are there. They have also bought the insurance. They have their insurance, like here also. Some persons are there whose age is more than 50, but they don't have any insurance. Okay, so these are basically your outliers. Okay, so because these things are not, these people or you can say this data are not following your common trend. So that's why these are your outliers. Okay, so so whenever we are going to have uh, whenever we are going to do these types of problem or solve these types of problem, there may be some outliers. You may eliminate those outliers, or you can simply neglect that also. Okay, so it's not going to affect your calculation much more in these types of categorical calculations, or you can say categorical data. But if you are going for some higher level predictions, then it's important to remove these outliers, or to replace this outlier with some specific values. Okay. So what happens here? You can see how we are going to predict this thing. Okay, so whether a person of some age, okay, of specific age value, is interested in buying an insurance or not. Well, how we can predict that thing? Okay, so what happens? Uh, as we have already studied your linear regression model, we can draw a straight line like this. Okay, so if you are drawing a straight line like this, suppose for the time being, I am thinking that this straight line is best fitted for all these points. Okay, even if it is not fitting, but because if I'm trying to draw, somehow this straight line will be like this. Okay, because that straight line will be somehow it will be like this, which will be best fitted, or we have to consider that it is best fitted with all these points. Okay, if this straight line is like this, then what happens, for prediction purpose I have to fix some threshold value. Okay, because you can see the output are in two values. Okay, it will be either 0 or 1. Okay, so for predicting the things I have to fix the uh, threshold in between that. Okay, so for the time being let me fix the value as your 0.5. Okay, so what happens, the whenever this probability is more than 0.5, at that time there is a chances of buying or getting the insurance. Okay, the persons whose probability is more than 0.5. Okay, so they are going to, or I can say that they are most likely to have an insurance. Okay, so these types of things can be done. You can see this is the line and this is the threshold value, and based upon that intersection I can draw this straight line here. Okay, and the persons whose age is more than this value, they are most likely to buy the insurance, and the persons whose age is coming below this vertical line, they are less likely to buy the insurance. Okay, so these types of prediction I can do if I'm drawing these types of linear regression line, or if I'm drawing a straight line like this. Okay, but what happens, there may be some problems if I'm directly drawing these types of straight line. Okay, let me show you one example. Okay, so here what happens, instead of this value, suppose one extra value or some additional value is added here. Okay, you can see in this picture one additional value, suppose it is added here. Then what happens, instead of this line, the line can be drawn like this also. Okay, so I'm not sure about the thing. Okay, but there may be some possibilities. Okay, so that's why, and this is the reason why we are going for these types of logistic regression, or can say logic regression algorithm. Okay, so you can see instead of drawing this line like this, the line may be like this also. Okay, so if your line is drawn like this, then what happens, suppose your threshold value is again fixed at your zero point 0.5, then this will be your intersection point and this will be your vertical line. Okay, and if I'm drawing this vertical line at this point, then you can see some of the people whose age is uh, coming, or whose age is less than this value, they are also likely to buy the insurance. But what happens, according to my my prediction algorithm, it should be, means the persons whose age are more than this value, they should buy the insurance. But here what happens, some errors are coming into picture, means instead of the persons whose age are less than this specific value, it may be your 47 or 48 like that. Okay, whose age is less than 47, let it be, so they are also they are likely to buy the insurance, but which is one type of error. Okay, which should not be there. Okay, so that type of problem occurs if I am directly drawing a straight line. Okay, so what happens, instead of drawing a straight line, I have to modify that line. Okay, so if I'm drawing this line like this, you can say this is one type of curve. Okay, instead of a direct straight line, if I'm drawing the line like this, then this can be used for best prediction, because you can see if I'm setting the threshold at 0.5, then this will be my intersection point and this will be my vertical line, and the persons whose age is more than this point, so let it be 37. Okay, so whose age is more than 37, they are most likely to buy the insurance, and the persons whose age is less than 37, they are less likely to buy the insurance, or they are not interested in getting those insurance. Okay. So that's the so that is the fundamental, that instead of directly drawing a straight line, we can draw a curve like this. Okay, and what happens uh, in mathematics, or you can say in statistics, this curve is called as your logit curve, or you can say sigmoid curve. Okay, so this is one type of mathematical function, this predefined mathematical function. This is called as a sigmoid curve. Okay, or sometimes this is also called as a logit curve. Okay, so that's why logistic regression is sometimes this is also called as a logit regression. Okay, because this regression technique is directly based on the drawing of this curve. Okay, means like your in your linear regression, we are concerned about drawing a straight line. here in your logistic regression, we are concerned about drawing these types of sigmoid line or sigmoid curve. So this is the mathematical function of this sigmoid curve. Okay, so 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus z. Okay, so e is your Euler's number. Okay, so what happens? The beauty of this curve is the output values will be lying between your 0 or 1. Okay, so minimum value will be 0 and maximum value is 1. So this is the fundamental behind this curve. Okay, so I'll again come to this thing, how this thing has been derived while I'll be discussing the mathematics in more detail after 1 or 2 slides. So basically what happens, what are the things we have done here? So you can see if I am drawing a straight line, the equation will be y is equals to mx plus b or c, whatever you can see, say. So that type of straight line or this will be a straight line. Okay, but instead of drawing these types of straight line, we are interested in these types of sigmoid curve. So basically what happens here will be giving this straight line as an input or input argument to this sigmoid curve. Okay, so instead of z, you can see your mx plus b is there. Okay, that means whatever straight line we are forming here in your regression line or regression algorithm, linear regression algorithm, that is again going to be fed as the input to this sigmoid curve. Okay, so that is again going or that will be used as an argument for your sigmoid curve. Okay, and whatever curve we will be obtaining, that will be used for your final uh, prediction purpose, or you can say your classification purpose. Okay, so that is the thing, that whenever we are using these types of logic regression, at that time also we can find out what is the value of your m, what is the value of the c. Okay, I'll show you that thing in your example while simulating in your python. I'll show you that thing also, means you can find out what is the slope value and your y-intercept of your uh, that regression line. Okay, because that regression line is given as your input argument for this sigmoid curve. Okay, and that's why this the naming of this algorithm is given as a regression, logistic regression, because we are using logic curve here or final prediction purpose, but the input argument is your regression line. So that's why regression is there. Okay, even if regression is only specifically that is used for your prediction purpose and your logistic regression is used for your classification purpose, but the name regression is given because the input argument is this mx plus b, or you can say ms plus c straight line. Okay, so these are the things I'll be showing you some of the examples where we are going to use this logistic regression. So one small example is given here, that what is the probability of, you can say, what is the probability of breakdown of specific vehicle. Okay, so means suppose you are buying one vehicle, and after how many years, what is the probability of its breakdown. Okay, so that type of thing can also be predicted using your logistic regression. Okay, so that thing is written. So whenever the output of the dependent variable y is discrete, like your 0 or 1, yes or no, or a, b, or c type, different types of categorical, you can say directly, we can use your logistic regression. Okay, and this is the analogy that you can see what happens exactly here. Will be also I'll be showing you some other mathematics, the mathematical fundamentals in more detail here. So basically, in your regression algorithm, we basically draw a straight line like this, linear regression I'm talking about. Okay. So whenever I'm drawing a straight line, the output range of that straight line will be varying from minus infinite to plus infinite. But whenever we are coming to your logic regression, at that time your output is confined, or that is limited between two values, that is a 0 or 1. So whenever these types of things are there, then we have to modify, or you can say we have to clip these straight lines. Okay, so what happens, we have to clip this lower portion of the straight line as well as your higher portion of your straight line for using for this classification purpose. Okay, or you can say for this logistic regression purpose. So this is the curve, or you can say ideal S curve which is used or which should be used for your uh, logistic regression. Okay, but what happens, and here you can see the output values are limited within your 0 to 1. Okay, but practically what happens, these types of curve cannot be represented using a single mathematical function, because here you can say the value is 0, here some straight line, and here again it comes to 1. So this is a discrete function. Okay, so you cannot represent these types of mathematical these types of curve using a single mathematical function. So that's why, so instead of drawing or instead of using these types of line or these types of curve, we have chosen your S curve here. Okay, so whatever curve I have shown you there, that logit curve, sometimes that is also called as a S curve, that is taken here. So S curve is the approximation of this ideal, these types of curve. Okay, so I've already told you how this S curve is formed. Okay, so again, I will be discussing that once again after this slide. So basically, this is the reason behind choosing this S curve. Okay, so we have to clip the straight lines because the values are limited between 0 to 1. And if you're directly limiting or directly clipping the things, then the curves will be something like this. So that's why this curve cannot be represented using some direct mathematical functions. So that's why we have to use a curve which will be approximately similar to this one and which can be directly represented using a single function, mathematical function. And this is the S curve which is suitable for this purpose. Okay. Okay. Next thing, how we are going to implement this thing in your Python, okay, or you can say, actually what happens, let me tell you from the beginning, in Python, several libraries are there, and like your scikit-learn library, in that library, all those options are already there, so you can directly uh, import that library and you can use the functions like a logistic regression from your regression algorithm. Okay, and you can directly use those things. You don't have to write this code, but we need to know what is the basic foundation or how this thing has been implemented. Okay, today I will be showing you using scikit-learn library, as well as will be directly I'll be also directly showing you the code also of implementing this thing. Okay, so first, we'll be starting with that straight line equation. Okay, y is equals to mx plus c. Okay, so what happens here, instead of writing mx plus c, you can see b1 x1 plus b2 x2 is written. That means c is there. There is no change in the c. Only that mx has been written uh, in this form, means b1 x1 plus b2 x2. So basically these are different independent variables. Okay, so but the dependent variable is same, only the number of independent variables are higher. Okay, so this is, you can say, multinomial problem type. Okay, so in your linear regression we are just dealing with your two variables, but here multiple variables are there. Okay. And what happens, the range of this equation, straight line equation, is varying from your minus infinite to plus infinite. Okay. And what happens, the range of your logit curve is limited between your 0 to 1. So what happens, if we are going to use this as your input, or you can say as one of your input arguments, then we have to make suitable modifications in your left side. Okay, so what happens, instead of writing y here, we have to write down here y by 1 minus 1. Okay. Because why, what happens, if the range of your y is limited to 0 to 1, then uh, here you can say, if I'm writing like y is equals to y by 1 minus y, then what will be the value? Whenever I am putting y is equals to 0, at that time the value will be 0. If I'm using y is equals to 1, then the value will be infinite. Okay. And what happens, even if I have chosen or I have made the range of your y as your 0 to 1, but the straight line equation, whatever we are using here, the range has been changed to 0 to infinite, but it should be varying from your minus infinite to plus infinite. So that's why, instead of directly writing your y by 1 minus y, we have to take the logarithm of that one. So if I'm taking the logarithm of that one, then what happens? The range of your you can say log of 0 will be your minus infinite, and log of infinity will be your infinite. Okay, so what happens? The final equation can be written in this form. Okay, log of y by 1 minus y should be equals to c plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2, whatever things are there in your independent variable side. I am not changing that one. I am just modifying this dependent variable side. Okay, so here you can see, after doing this modification, what happened? The range of your y has been changed to 0 to 1. Okay. If the range of your y is limited to 0 to 1, that is not going to affect this straight line equation, because the straight line equation, you can see, if whenever your y value is 0, then log of 0 will be minus infinite. Whenever your y value is 1, this value becomes your infinite, and log of infinite becomes your plus infinite. Okay, so the range of your straight line remains same, that is from minus infinite to infinite. Okay, so that is the fundamental, that how we are modifying the things. That means even if we have changed the y value from 0 to 1, the this quantity which is remaining in the left side of this equation, this range is remaining same as it was in your previous form. Okay, so y value was previously varying from minus infinite to infinite. Here the log of y by 1 minus y, that is also varying from minus infinite to infinite, but the value of your y has been changed to 0 to 1. Okay, so that thing is written, means I'll be showing you how that equation has been derived. Means whatever equation I have shown here, means why we are implementing this, or how, or why we are giving this straight line as your input to this logic function. Okay, so what is the logic behind that one? So that thing I'm going to discuss right now. Okay, you can see that thing I have already told you, that this is the fundamental equation behind your logistic regression. This equation, okay, log of, instead of y here it has been written as your p of x. Okay, p of x is your y. Okay, so log of p of x by 1 minus p of x, that should be equal to beta naught plus beta 1x. Okay, so here I have eliminated this, these things have been eliminated. Okay, so if you are taking exponential of that one, okay, e to the power of that one, then what happens? In your right side, this becomes your px by 1 minus px, and on this side, it becomes your e to the power beta naught plus beta 1x. And here we have to simply manipulate the thing, means will be as we have all, as we know that this quantity, if I'm taking as your y, then you can see y should be equals to this one. Okay, that means we are just taking this one as your y. Already that is mentioned. Okay, so if this is taken as your y, then what happens? P of x by 1 minus p of x is equals to y, and after that I'll be simply manipulating the things, means I'll be just cross multiplying the things, okay, in this equation, and from that I'll be predicting what is the value of a p of x. So p of x is equals to y by 1 plus y. Okay, and y I have already taken as your e to the power beta naught plus beta 1 x. Okay, if p of x is your e to the power beta naught plus beta 1 x divided by 1 plus e to the power beta naught plus beta 1 x. Okay, so this is the final form of your equation. Okay, so what happens if I'm dividing the numerator and denominator of with this quantity, then the final equation of your p of x becomes like this: 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus beta naught plus beta 1 x. Okay, and this is the equation which we already talked about. Okay, so you can see here. Okay, 1 by 1 plus e to the power mx plus b. Okay, so that thing is written here, there in different form. Okay, this beta naught is your c and beta 1 is your slope. Okay, so that thing is there. That means whatever thing is there in your left hand side, that can be represented as a exponential function of that straight line. Okay, so whatever straight line we are using for your linear regression purpose, that can be used here. So this is the math behind your logistic regression. Okay, so if you are using that thing, then we will be having a sigmoid curve which will be looking like this. Okay, and based upon this m and c value, the curve shape is going to vary. Okay, so whether that will be like this, or whether that will be like this. So the shape of this curve is going to vary based upon the M and C value. Okay. So these are some of the examples where we can use your logistic regression. First is your weather prediction. Okay, so whether your weather is going to be a sunny, or that is going to be cloudy, or whether that is going to be rainy, or cold weather, any type of thing that can be predicted by using these types of logistic regression algorithm. Next, as I have already told you that image categorization problems, this is also one type of, you can say, um, clustering algorithms. Okay, uh, so what happens? Suppose one large image will be given, and from that you have to uh, categorize the things. Okay, so that type of problem can be handled by these types of logistic algorithm. Means from this image you can find out these are the portions which are containing your humans, these are the animals, and these are the vehicles. Okay, so and here you can see the multiple categories are there instead of binary. Multiple categories are there. So even if multiple categories are there, this can be handled. Okay. One very good example that is given here, you can say, and let me tell you, this example is available in internet, means the coding and everything is there. You can try by yourself also. So what happens? One image set will be given, and in that image set, uh, different image will be there. Means image of different digits will be there, or numbers will be there. Numbers means that will be starting from 0 to 9. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like up to 9. Okay, so the different types of images of numbers will be there, but the problem is that the images are not clear. Okay, means we cannot say, or it's very difficult to predict which number are written. Okay, you can say these types of things will be there. From this it's very difficult to predict which number are there. Yeah, we are human beings, we can predict the things, but it's very difficult for machines to detect the things. So for that, what happens, the set will be, data set will be given to us. So from that we will be splitting that into two parts. First will be your training set, and second will be your testing set. I've already told you this thing. So after that we'll be using this training set to model our model the, or is it for testing, means we'll be training our model based upon this training set. Okay, and once our model is ready, then we can use this test set to find out the outputs. Okay, so here you can see, from this you can predict out that this number is a 4 and this is your 1. Okay, so what happens in this case, the output set contains 10 categories. It means that may be 0, that may be 1, that may be 2, that may be 3, like that. Okay, so 10 categories are there. So even if multiple categories are there, this can be handled by your logistic regression algorithm. Okay. Next thing, like we do, or we calculate your like in your linear regression algorithm, we find out your accuracy by some parameters. Okay, so that is your R square parameter. So based upon that R square parameter, we can say whether your model is accurate or not. Like that, in these types of categorical analysis, one matrix is there that is called as a confusion matrix, that is used to find out your accuracy or score of that algorithm. Okay, and this is a typical confusion matrix of this problem. Okay, so whatever example I was discussing right now, this is the confusion matrix of that problem. Okay, and let me show you what are the things available in these types, or what types of things you will be getting in these types of confusion matrix. So as the name suggests that this is a matrix. Okay, confusion matrix, this is a simple matrix. Okay, even if the name is given as a confusion, it's not confusing, it is directly straightforward. Okay, and what happens in your one axis, actual level will be there, and in another axis predicted level will be there. Okay, predicted level and actual level, what do you mean by that? Suppose what happens in your data set, uh, there are several digits or several numbers are there. Okay, and we are going to find out what are those numbers, and we have evaluated that thing, and that evaluations has been recorded, or that has been written here. Okay, so what happens, you can see, uh, there are some diagonal values which have been shown in white color. Okay, you can see this one. So here what happens, this is the value which correspond to the actual number of zeros present in that data set and the predicted number of zeros in that data set. Okay, because we are going to predict how many zeros are there. Okay, after doing that type of predictions, this matrix is formed. Okay, similarly here, how many ones are present actually present in that data set and how many ones that has been predicted by our algorithm. Okay, that has been written here. Okay. Similarly, here in this diagonal, how many fours are there in your actual data set versus how many fours have been predicted by our algorithm. Those things have been written here. Okay. Similarly, you can see some other entries are also there. Like here also 2 is the written, 1 is written here. So what happens here? This is the thing, how many errors are there. Okay, that means actually there was if you calculate in this row, then what happens actually 44 plus 1 45, 45 plus 2 47 plus 1 48, total 48 ones are there in that data set, and out of that 48 ones 44 have been correctly predicted and one is predicted as your 3 and two of them have been predicted as your 8 and one of them predicted as your 9. So these are the errors. Okay. Similarly, if you are thinking about 3, then total 37 plus 3 40 plus 2 42 entries are there. Okay. Or 42 threes are there, and out of that 43 42 threes, 37 have been correctly predicted as your 3 and 3 of them have been predicted as your 7, 2 of them has been predicted as your 8. Okay, so these are the errors. So this is about your confusion matrix, how this entry means, what does this entry mean. Okay, so basically what happens, accuracy will be higher if these diagonal entries contain higher number of things. Okay, suppose you just think that instead of suppose these entries are all are 0. Okay, that means all the predictions are correct. Okay, in that case the accuracy will be high. Okay, that means your accuracy will be 100%. So basically this means that your accuracy will be higher if your diagonal entries are or diagonal entry contains higher number of values. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so the main objective is to find out uh, what is the value that is present in your diagonal entries. Okay, so if these values are very higher and other entries are there is very less entries in your other uh, cells, at that time you can say your accuracy of your algorithm is very high. Okay, so there are direct commands in your scikit-learn library. You can directly plot this confusion matrix. It will directly show you the things. Okay, so I'll be giving you the task. Okay, in that task, everything will be specified. What are the parameters we are going to find out, and everything will be specified in that. Okay, I'll be showing you another example here. Okay, so here what happens, these are the three categories of your logistic regression. First is your binary logistic regression, in which only two categories will be there, yes or no type, spam or not, cancer or no cancer, like that. Next is your multinomial logistic regression, whenever the variable has three or more categories. Okay, so the types of wide or like that. Okay. And another type of logistic regression is there, that is your ordinal logistic regression, whenever the target variable has three or more ordinal categories, such as restaurant, or you can say product ranging from 1 to 5. Okay. So whenever the category itself differ from each other, at that time, this comes under your ordinal logistic regression. Okay. So these are all about your fundamentals of your logistic regression. And now I'll be showing you one example of your mm, simple logistic regression, how you can predict that a person of specific age, okay, whether that is 45, 46, whether means how much he or she is likely to buy an insurance, how we can predict that thing. I have already shown you the data set. Okay, so we'll be using that data set and uh, uh, we'll be forming one model, logistic regression model. Okay. So let me share my Spider Anaconda screen. So is this screen visible right now? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I thought all of you have slept. Okay. So let me check. Okay. Yeah. So what happens? Now, first, as usual, we'll be importing some of the libraries like your pandas and your matplotlib. Okay. So uh, I'm not going to discuss these things once again because I have already told you that first pandas will be importing and matplotlib will be importing for plotting purpose. Okay. And next, I'll be importing our CSV file or Excel file. Okay. So for that, we'll be using this pandas library. So pd.read, okay, means it will be reading the values from your CSV file, and this is the address, or you can say the location of your CSV file. Okay, so the name of that CSV file is an insurance underscore data. I'll be sharing this data file with you also, so that you can use. Okay, I'll be sharing the code and your this data file with you. You can use that one. Next, let us see what are the things, whether our data file is correctly imported or not. Okay, so for that we can check this data.head. So this will show you the first 5 entries of your data set. I have already told you this thing in your exploratory data analysis. So you can see these are the first 5 entries of your data set, like your under your age, 5 ages are showing, are shown, and these are the their insurance buying status. Okay. uh, Next, let me plot the whole data set using one scatter plot. Whatever plot I have shown you in that PPT, that thing we are going to do here. So here I am going to plot the whole data set using the scatter plot. Okay, and scatter plot is one type of feature that is available in your matplotlib. Okay, and you can say we'll be using a red color plus marker, and the color will be red. Okay, so this is the curve here. Okay, you can say so I have already discussed this thing. The persons whose age is less than 30, they're less likely to buy the insurance, and the persons whose age is more than, you can say, 40 or 38 something, and they're most likely to buy the insurance. Okay. Then let us use that scikit-learn library. Okay, so in your scikit-learn library, I have already told you that whenever we will be using this type of data set, we will be using one method, that is your train test split method. Okay, so in that case, whatever data set will be given to us, 30% or 20% as per your wish. Okay, we will be choosing some of its portion for training purpose, and other portion for its testing purpose. Okay, so that thing we are going to use. So we'll be using your scikit-learn library, and after that we'll be importing your this train test split technique. Okay, and we define how much value or how much portion we are going for this testing purpose, and how much value we are going to use for your training purpose. Okay, okay. So you can see X trend, X test. I have already discussed these things previous classes. Okay, so those things are same here. Okay, we'll be using this 80%. You can say trend size has been taken as your 0.8. That means 80% of the data set are going to be used for our training purpose, training our model. Okay, and the rest of the 20% are going for our testing purpose. Okay, you can also check that thing. Okay, so X test, you can check what are the values. Uh, okay, so these are the 6 values that has been chosen for our testing purpose. Rest of the 20 values are taken for our training purpose. Okay, so now uh, let me import your logistic regression. Okay, so scikit-learn. So these are the standard formats, or you can say functions, that are used for importing your logistic regression. So we'll be using same linear model that is available in a scikit-learn, and will be, after that we'll be importing your logistic regression algorithm. Okay, so this thing can be done, and okay, let me remove this line first for this time. So once this is completed, after that I can fit the model. So whenever I'm saying I'm fitting the model, that means I am going to train the model. Okay, and how I'm going to train the model? I am going to train the model based on the things those are available in your training data. Means whatever 80% of the data set has been chosen for your training purpose, those are going to be used for training the model. So whenever I am telling you fit command or fit function is used, that means we'll be basically training the model. Okay, so next let us check how means this training has been completed. Now we are going to predict the thing. Okay, so for that let me once again I have let me check what are the test values are available. Okay, x test, these are the x test values available here. This is the test set which has been chosen by this algorithm. Okay, and what will be the predicted value? So for predicted value we have to use this comma. So that will be your y predicted. It should be equal to model dot predict, and your input argument should be x test. Okay, means whatever things those are available in this x test set, those are going to be used as your input. Okay, so we can check that whether means what are the predicted values here. Okay, so let me paste it here. Predicted, it will show you the values. Okay, so here you can see interestingly it has chosen some values like this, like 28, 40, 29, 25, 30, 23, 27. So you can see all these ages are less than 40. Okay, so that's why the chances of buying the insurance is zero here. Okay, so if the values are something different, uh, then the value will be something different. It would have been 1. Okay, but for this time you can see all these values are less than 40. So that's why the chances of buying their insurance is uh, 0. Okay, next let us do one thing. Let us find out what are the probabilities of their buying the insurance. Okay, so here what happens, this is the output whether they are going to buy the insurance or not. Means this will be your 0 or 1 time. But what is based upon your algorithm, what is their probability of buying the algorithm, whether 30%, 40%, or 60% of not buying those things? That can also be predicted or calculated by using this function. Okay, model dot predict underscore proba. Okay, proba. Okay, it will show you the probability value of based upon this x test arguments. Okay, so here you can see on this left side, this is showing you the chances of not buying the insurance, and this is the chances of buying the insurance. Okay, so here what happens, the person whose age is uh, 28, the chances of not buying the insurance is 90%. Okay, and the chances of buying the insurance is just 9%. Okay, similarly, what happens here, the person whose age is 40, his possibility or his probability of buying the not buying the insurance is 57, whereas the probability of is 42%. Okay, so you can see these values are changing. Okay, it's not like that it is directly based upon some category. It's based upon some direct threshold values. As we are using some sigmoid functions, that sigmoid function decides this probability value. Because this is the importance of using this sigmoid function for this logistic regression algorithm. Okay, because that sigmoid function is used to calculate the probability. Okay, how much probable is means what is the probability of occurrence occurring some specific event. Okay, Similarly, the person whose age is 23, he is least likely to buy the algorithm. So here you can say the chances of not buying the algorithm is 95%, whereas the chances of buying the algorithm is only 4%. These things have been predicted from this sigmoid function itself. Next thing, I have already told you that whenever we are drawing these sigmoid functions, we are giving the input argument as a straight line. Okay, so that straight line is your one type of regression line. Okay, and here there are some commands which can be used to find out their slope value. First is your model dot coefficient. Okay, so if you are using this one, that will show you the slope of that line. Okay, so model dot coefficient, that will show you the slope m value in that equation. So m value is 0.16 something is there. Okay, and if you're finding out that intercept value, so model dot intercept, so by using this command you can find out the intercept value, that is your minus 6 point something. Okay, next you can also find out the score of this algorithm. Okay, or you can say accuracy of this algorithm. Okay, so here you can say model dot score. Okay, so here what happens, based upon this thing, based upon this x test and y test, it is showing you that the score is 67%. Okay, but actually what happens, the uh, score of this algorithm is very high. Okay, because what happens, whenever we are calculating the score, this test values or test argument is very important. Okay, if what happens here, the test values contains very less numbers. Okay, so that's why the score is reduced. Okay, if your test value contains more number of things or more number of data, at that time it will give you actual score. Okay, so that's why it is only here, it is showing only 67%. And let me tell you one thing, whenever you are executing this program next time in your spider, at that time these values are going to change, because I have already told you, whenever you are using this trend test split method, these values are chosen arbitrarily, and whenever these values changes in your next execution, at that time the score is also going to change. Okay, so I've already told you how you can fix those things also. Okay, in your previous classes you can refer to those lectures. So these are the things which we can directly do by using your scikit-learn library. And now let us compare the thing using your using the, or you can say by directly writing the code. Okay, so if I'm directly writing the code, means whatever mathematical functions or mathematical equations I have shown you in my PPT, if I'm directly going to implement that, then whether that is uh, whether that is able to predict the things correctly or not, that thing we are going to verify right now. Okay, so I'll be just implementing that thing. So simple thing, that directly we will be using this sigmoid function. Okay, and after that 1 by 1 plus math of exponential of that minus x is there, and after that what happens here, whenever I'm directly writing the code, in that case I have to give some boundary or threshold value, and here is the threshold value. Okay, so you can see, because we cannot directly implement the thing here, means we cannot means for prediction purpose we have to correctly define the threshold value also. So that's why this statement is given. Okay, so point 042 h minus 52 is there. So this is the thing which is used for finding out your you can say that is your threshold value, and this is the equation, or one type, or otherwise you can say this is the regression equation that is going to be fed to this sigmoid function. So basically I have already shown you that regression line is used to find out that threshold value. So that thing is written here. The z should be equal to 0.042 into h is y is equal to mx form. Okay, mx plus c form. Okay, so that thing is written here. So okay, let me. So that is correct. There is no error. So next, so for the timing, let me take another variable, that is your age. Okay, and I want to predict what is the probability of buying the insurance for a person whose age is 35. Okay, so we'll be using this one. So here you can see the person whose age is 35, his chances of buying the insurance is 48%. Okay, similarly we can do this for other age person also. So 30, 43, and if I'm trying to find out this one, then prediction underscore function age. Okay, and what happens here, the chances of buying an insurance for the person whose age is 43 is 56%. Okay, you can also find out some other cases also, like here we have predicted for 40%, so let us find out for 40% and we'll match that how much accurate is our model. Okay. If I'm writing the code manually, then how much accuracy it is giving us. So that is showing us your 53.74. So let us check. Okay, so here you can see the if you are using this thing in your scikit-learn, it is showing you 57. Uh, okay, it's showing you 42%, but if I'm directly implementing the thing, it will be showing you as 53%. Okay, so definitely there are some errors are there, because here what happens, we are directly implementing the thing using your sigmoid function, and here what happens, the prediction is limited to this set only. Okay, because we are working on this test set and this is limited within this value only, so that's why these values are varying, but still you can see this is giving us good approximation values. Okay, so you can also predict the thing by, if you're using these types of if you're directly writing the code. Okay, so this is all about this example, that how we can find out the chances of buying insurance for different age people. Okay, so suppose age is given, or persons, suppose you're asked to find out what is the probability, or okay, what is the probability of getting the insurance of different aged people. At that time you can use these types of things. Okay, you can directly use the commands or functions those are available in your scikit-learn library and use them for prediction purpose. Okay, whether they are going to predict the thing or not, or if they are going to predict, or if they are not going to predict, or if they are not going to buy the insurance also, what is the chances of those things. Okay, what is the chances, or you can say what is the probability of buying the insurance, what is the probability of not buying the insurance. Those things can be predicted by using these uh, functions those are available in your scikit-learn library. Otherwise you can also directly uh, write at the code here also.